What if the rumor you're trying to ignore is actually the one that explains everything legacy leverage and a last run at basketball immortality? What if the league's most polarizing playmaker has already aligned his timeline with the game's greatest survivor, and the missing piece is a two-way wing who becomes the hinge of a dynasty reboot? And what if the thing everyone keeps calling impossible only looks that way because we've been asking the wrong questions about fit, cap, and power? You felt it the second your phone lit up. Those three names in the same sentence sent a jolt down your spine. The math seems wild, the politics even wilder, and yet the basketball makes unnerving sense. You can almost picture it. Late clock, the floor stretched to its limits. One superstar dragging two to his gravity, while the other slashes into the empty. Lane in the third stalks the weak side for the kill. It's the kind of idea that eats your sleep, because you know deep down that if it ever happens, the sport itself will have to bend. Here's my promise to you: in the next minutes, we're going to unpack why this specific trio keeps resurfacing, what the on-court geometry would actually look like, how roster mechanics could open windows people aren't seeing, what the real risks are, and why this story refuses to die, even when logic tells you to move on. No spoilers, yet you'll get the hard reveal only after we set the stage with context leverage and the quiet signals executives trade in when cameras are off. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report. If you live for the nights when purple and gold make the rest of the league sweat, hit subscribe, tap like, drop your take in the comments, and let's ride together through the smoke until we find the fire. Let's breathe for a second and start with the obvious truth no one disputes. The Lakers don't do maybe. This franchise is built on declarative sentences, Magic and Kareem, Kobe and Shaq, LeBron and Adi eras defined by stars who weren't just great, they were gravitational. Now we sit in an era where the clock and the CBA both press against every decision. The clock? That's Father Time undefeated, trying to corner a living legend who refuses to fade. The CBA? That's the system that punishes mistakes, taxes depth, and makes it harder than ever to just add one more star. To beat both, you need a plan that isn't just splashy. Its surgical dots start with the engine. A heliocentric savant who can summon a top 5 offense out of half-built rosters. Transforms instantly when you surround him with size that can pass. Wings who screen, and veterans who read the floor a half-beat early. The dirty little secret of playoff basketball is that novelty dies by game 2. What survives is processing speed. The right trio isn't about highlight symmetry. It's about cognitive load. If your primary bends the game with angles, your secondary must bend it with time, and your tertiary must bend it with space. 3 different levers, one scoreboard. Now consider the elder statesman who still flips possessions with economy. He doesn't need 15 dribbles to force a rotation. He needs a glance, a decoy cut, a shoulder fake inside the arc to make a tagger pause. The trick is to preserve his peak possessions for when they matter most. The more the offense can run on rails for 40 minutes, the more those last 8 minutes become a playground for decision-making cruelty. And the third? The third is the player casuals undersell until April makes them learn the hard way. The third has to defend in silence, finish without complaint, screen like a center, slide like a guard, and hit threes at league respect volume. He is the difference between 55 wins and 61, between dangerous and inevitable. He's not the headline. He's the hinge. Zoom out to the boardroom. Star moves at this level are about 3 currencies: picks, contracts that stack cleanly, and favors. Picks are obvious. Contracts are trickier. Teams don't need your best players. They need your salaries to solve their math. Favors? That's the informal ledger of conversations had, opportunities extended, and reputations protected. If you want to pull a mega move, you align those 3 currencies in the same month, not the same year. Now to basketball. Picture a base alignment with a strong side empty corner. The lead creator flows into an angle pick and roll with a big who can short roll and pass. The legend lifts from dunker spot to slot to become the release valve. The wing sets a ghost screen on the weak side, slips into daylight, and attacks a closing defender who can't help off the slot without giving up a corner three. Next possession? Flip it. Horn set, zoom action on the wing, the elder initiates, the engine becomes a screener, and the wing drifts into a 45 cut the moment his defender ball watchers. Defenses hate having to guard three players who can all be the hub on any given trip. Defense. Though defense is where this theoretical trio sells me. One star hunts the nail, using size to absorb first contact and hands to dig. The elder quarterbacks in drop switch hybrids, calling coverages like a free safety, saving his legs by sitting on the most damaging angles. The wing soaks up the point of attack punishment, toggling between the opponent's best guard and best wing for stretches that kill rhythm. When the wing can credibly spend 6 to 8 minutes making a top scorer work, it flips the rotation math. Suddenly, your bench minutes are less about surviving and more about stealing dot. Can it work under pressure? Think about late-game offense in the playoffs, a league of teams who all know your first, second, and third looks and live in the film room. When your first option is a generational pick-and-roll conductor, your second is a living algorithm who reads closeouts like weather, and your third is a compliant killer who finishes plays with 2 dribbles or less. The defense must pick which law to break. If they top-lock the star, you invert the action and let the legend punish a smaller block while the wing screens up to force a switch. If they blitz, your short roll 4v3 starts with a pass, not a panic. If they switch everything, you cycle until the smallest lives on the biggest or the slowest lives on the quickest. Then you go hunting dot. So why these 3 names? Because each solves a pain point the Lakers have wrestled with in recent springs. Pace without chaos. Shot creation without stagnation. Wing defense without trading away spacing. The Matrix says if you can combine a pace-control superstar, a late-game governor, and a two-way finisher, you can beat punishing switch-heavy systems without sacrificing identity. That's the basketball case. The cap case is thornier, but not impossible if patience meets opportunity. Here's the reveal you came for. The phrase, trio confirmed, is the headline fans are throwing around. But the truth is colder, and more precise, there is no official confirmation. What exists is a living, breathing rumor architecture built on fit, timing, and the reality that big moves only happen when more than one side can sell it at a press conference. Does that mean it's fantasy? No. It means it's a corridor, not a door walkable if the hinges line up. Let's talk mechanisms, not fairy tales. Path 1 is direct, brutal, and expensive. Aggregate matching money with a blue-chip asset. Accept the tax pain, and dare to lead to stop a brand when a star wants a banner. Path 2 is opportunistic. Wait for a disgruntled star window elsewhere. Become the 3-team solution that turns someone's problem into your spacing, and someone else's bloat into your depth. Path 3 is patience. Prove the core ceiling by Christmas. Force another front office to blink by February, and attack the deadline with leverage instead of need. In every path, the wing becomes the most realistic first domino, because his market oscillates with role and context. His value is highest to a contender that can simplify his reads and give him a diet of corner threes, strong hand drives, and cross matches to eat. How would Rose shake out on day 1? The engine keeps the keys but changes the cadence, more early offense pitches, fewer late clock rescues. The legend becomes the scalpel, not the hammer surgical post touches. Inverted pick and rolls that punish smalls, and a curatorial approach to transition where he picks his bursts. The wing leans into being the ultimate connective piece screen. Slip, spot, slash, then turn around and wear the opponent's top wing like a winter coat. The beauty is that none of the 3 have to chase volume to feel involved. Their involvement is baked into the geometry. Now the risk file, because banners aren't built on dreams alone. First touches. It's easy to say sacrifice in September. It's harder when it's game 5, and someone has had 7 minutes without a shot. The antidote is structure. If the first 4 minutes of every quarter are scripted to feature each star in distinct actions, the possession economy feels fair. Second, health. The older great must be protected from the calendar. The best way to do that isn't rest for rest's sake. It's roll compression, fewer self-created bursts, more finishing, more organizing from the nail. Third, variance. Banking on wing shooting is playing the market. You mitigate it with offensive rebounding and by stacking two secondary creators who can survive cold nights. Culture matters too. The locker room will need an agreed-upon grammar for accountability. The star accepts being screened for. The legend accepts being guarded for. The wing accepts being judged by the possessions no one tweets about. The head coach must sell a boring baseline that becomes beautiful under pressure. Fewer pet plays. More family concepts that any five-man group can execute in sleep. Let's get specific with a few endgame menus. ATO Package 1. Spain pick and roll with the wing as the back screener, ghosting into a flare if the tag shows early. Legendary closer waiting in the slot to punish the scrambling defender with a .5 drive and kick. ATO Package 2. Elbow entry to the elder. Split action with the engine screening the wing. Short slip into a pocket pass if the switch is late. If the defense switches cleanly, invert and attack the small on the block while weak side lifts create a skip. ATO Package 3. Delay series into a DHO for the engine. Wing pins in the weak side low man to open the roll, then sprints to the corner for the relocation 3. If overplayed, immediate 45 cut for a dunk or foul. Where does the rest of the roster fit? You want a vertical spacer who doesn't clog decision lanes. Think screen and dive, duck in, kick out discipline. A pick-six guard who can turn defense into 8 straight points when the offense stalls. And one big wing bench piece who can copy-paste the starter's job at 80% so the identity doesn't flip when stars sit. Stagger the minutes so that at least 2 of the trio are always on the floor. Pair the engine with shooters and a rim runner. Pair the legend with a second side creator and a roaming cutter. Pair the wing with the bench's chaos guard to keep the pace above water. If you're asking, why all this noise now? It's because everyone in the league sees the same map. The West is a mountain range. To summit, you don't merely need star power, you need optionality. Optionality is the ability to win a game in 3 different ways when your best thing gets taken away. This trio gives you that. Win the math with threes and rim pressure. Win the tempo with pace control and foul mining. Win the grind with switch hunting and half-court offensive rebounding. That's not hype. That's playoff arithmetic. So is it fact or speculation? It's speculation dressed in logic, wearing the jacket of fit, carrying the briefcase of timing. No signatures. No podiums. No flights tracked to private terminals that end with a leaked selfie in a training room. What we have is a concept too coherent to ignore, living rent-free in the league's head because it answers questions contenders keep failing to solve in May and June. If anything about this becomes real, it will be because basketball demanded before PR allowed it. My personal take? I'm in on the idea with an asterisk the size of Staples letters, price and purpose. If the cost of the wing is assertive, but say one real asset, matching money, and protection against the kind of fat-tailed downside that cripples depth, do it. Because he scales next to greatness without needing to be loud. If the cost of the engine's future is buying him minutes of structured lineups that let him be devastating without being exhausted, do it. Because you don't get many chances to pair a savant with a legend who still bends time. And if the purpose is banner or bust, not headlines for a week, then lean all the way in. Otherwise, walk away and keep your powder dry. But make no mistake, if the day ever comes when those 3 names step onto the same side in purple and gold, the sport will feel smaller for 48 minutes, the lane will feel wider, and the fourth quarter will feel like a promise. Until then, we'll keep watching the corridors, listening for the hinges, and telling the truth the way fans deserve it, eyes open, hearts honest, and ready for the night the building shakes again.